Coffeebeans Routes is no ordinary tour operator. As Time magazine describes it, it gives the opportunity for visitors to climb into a minivan and embark on a cultural treasure hunt across the Cape Flats. The tour operator takes visitors to the intimate living rooms and backyards of artists, musicians and local heroes.
We provide the opportunity for the visitor to engage with us, with the people who live here, who work here, who play here, and who make our lives here. And visitors, when they travel, they want to have a human engagement. They want to meet the people that make up the place that they're visiting. And it's pretty much not possible, certainly in South Africa and definitely in Africa, because tourism focuses out of the cities and away from people. So that's the niche that we identified as being viable, but it's also what we thought was actually the most necessary. I mean, we have to, Peter Drucker says it really nicely, the management thinker. In order to predict the future, sometimes you have to invent it. So that's always been our ethos, is we actually need to invent the future according to how we would like it to be. And we want it to be that urban Africa is hip, it's contemporary, and we want the world to see it like that, because that is already how it is. Cape Town is very hip and contemporary. There's nothing cultural village about this place.
Coffeebeans Routes targets interesting characters who are willing to cook and entertain visitors for a fee. They usually include artists, musicians, and in the case of the soccer tour, talented community footballers to tell their stories and entertain the tourists. This tour operator's business strategy, especially during the World Cup, is to take the tourists into the heart and soul of the city, to go beyond the lines that separated people during apartheid, so the visitor can discover what makes this city tick.
Actually, I was very nervous to do this kind of thing, because when I heard that I needed to be cooking for some foreign people, I was extremely nervous. I thought I wasn't good enough cook, would people enjoy my food? What if it's a complete disaster? What if, I don't get to communicate with people very well? But after the first, when I agreed to fine, let's give this a try, and it was so much fun, and we connected so well with the people, and then I agreed to do it again, and by the third time I think we both fell in love with especially this thing about meeting new people every time from all walks of life, from all over the world. It was really fantastic, because you learn so much, you share so much. So yeah, super.
The tour company has a range of products that are distinctive and move beyond your average township tours.
Well, when I first came across Coffeebeans Routes, I thought the thing that struck me was that all the tours they were doing were something really different, and that's on a global scale. They're doing things that are unique internationally that I haven't seen anywhere else before, and they're all really interesting, and I like the fact that they're going to the heart and they're about people rather than taking photographs or getting wine down your neck or just seeing a cute animal.
The tours on offer include a jazz tour, an artistic tour, a storytelling tour, and even a spiritual tour.
I want people to discover what makes the city tick, beyond the mountain, beyond this fantastic stadium, and it is great. But a stadium doesn't have a story. A stadium cannot tell its own story. It needs people to tell the story. And that's where going between the lines of the stadium, for example, is, like the soccer route. The soccer route goes very much in between the lines, because we're going to start with this incredibly iconic piece of architecture. But the narrative of the stadium is really interesting around why is it over there as opposed to anywhere else. What's it going to be after the actual World Cup is gone? There's a lot of narrative and story there that the stadium alone doesn't tell you. To be able to move from there to visit the ambitious youth of Khayelitsha, in Khayelitsha, on an artificial pitch between a shack and between a school, that's really in between the lines. That's the narrative that you wouldn't get if you just stood over there. So to be able to move from there to there, and in fact for people to find that experience, having a game of soccer with the ambitious youth of Khayelitsha, far more interesting than actually seeing the stadium, that for me is going between the lines. Those are the stories. And South Africa has always had an economy of silence. So it's really interesting to be able to now start exposing those stories that have always happened between the lines but have never had an outlet.
The tour begins with an aerial view of the Greenpoint Stadium as well as a visit to its premises. It then takes the tourists to one of Cape Town's top local clubs, Ajax, where the community development projects are a key focus. They then get to meet a group of youth in Khayelitsha and play a soccer match with them.
You know, the soccer tour is great because it's, you know, I think as South Africans we probably don't even know the history of our own soccer. And I think for the foreigners it's the same. I think if they've heard of Bafana and Kaizer Chiefs, maybe that's it. So I think it's a lovely opportunity for them to kind of learn a bit more about our country, how, you know, where soccer comes from, what it means to people and how it's played, you know, in the present.
Soccer enthusiasts will not only get to see games during the World Cup, but those who go on the soccer tour will understand the culture and history of soccer in Cape Town.
The fascinating bit for me was seeing the ambitious youth of Khayelitsha, the project they've got set up there, how they've essentially got young men who would have otherwise be bumming about, sat outside a hospital, causing a nuisance. They've got some drive, some ambition, some motivation, and it's all related to football. And I really enjoyed not necessarily talking to them, but just listening to them, get the fierce debates of whether Benny McCarthy should be picked in the South African side, how good the current coach is compared to the former coach. They were really passionate about it. They really meant everything they were saying. It wasn't a show that was put on for tourists. You were genuinely invited in, be a part of us for half an hour or so, come and kick the ball around with us, we want to play with you. That's so different from the big coach tour where you go, almost the human zoo township tours which you can get, that you basically go around in a bus, take pictures of some shacks and then go away to your nice hotel again. You become a part of it, you learn a bit about it, and not in an obvious way of being told how life is in the townships, just getting the character, and it's the character that really counts, and that's what will stay. It's not polished, but that's what makes it great. It's about the heart and the character and the soul of South Africa, and giving people the chance to do something that they can't do elsewhere, and that is get to know the people who mainly make up this country.